Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's open forum. We have with us today a very special guest. We're going to go through Realtor's Guide to Home Inspections. We have Jim Kennedy here from Home Safe Property Inspections. Jim is a certified instructor. He is a great resource. He's been with us several times here and always teaches us something new and exciting. And so, Jim, welcome back, and we love having you. Thanks for coming in today, and thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Ryan. It's great to be here. This is I think our third that we've done. I do have other ones as well. So this is really kind of a conglomerate or many different items from different classes that I've taught in the past, all kind of in one. So it touches on many different items. It's really built for a CE class, which is about 100 minutes. We're not going to take that long. I've rearranged it a bit to hit the high points. Please, if you have any questions, save them towards the end. We'll go over those questions at that time. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, just about our services. There's nothing that we can't do or we don't do. If you can just peruse a little bit quickly, everything from home termite to environmental inspections, sewer scopes, drone inspections, property management rentals, as well as commercial inspections. We have multiple trained inspectors, fully trained staff. So when your clients call us, we are going to educate them on every process: the residential inspection, the termite inspection. We're going to go over what the sewer scope inspection is all about. And we're actually going to go over the wind mitt and the 4-point pretty well in detail, so they have a full understanding how that works. You're going to get the report back the same day. You can schedule online. We do have weekend inspections if asked early enough by Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. And our insurance inspections and termites are done by us internally, so we'll get those inspections while we're doing the home inspection. And we do have inspection packages as well. So if there's and we do home and termite, everything includes the wind mitt and the 4-point, and then we also have health, which would include any air quality, mold, asbestos, lead, water testing, etc. All right, and this is something, I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this to you, Ryan, but it's something I wanted to go over with your team for sure, and not in depth, but if anybody has any questions on it, they can always just reach out to us prior to. But we do offer now paying at closing for your inspections for the client. We would gather that information up front for a credit card to hold onto file, and then we would do the inspection, and then the client wouldn't need to pay for anything until at closing. All right, so we would actually need to gather information with the closing company, etc. But it is a way for the buyers to gather or to gain another paycheck or two in between the inspection process and their closing. I'm going to skip over the home binder. And also we do offer a repair pricing. So this will go to the agents only after the inspection is complete. You're going to get an email from a repair pricer. They're going to offer you to buy into, not actually sign up for this report. It's totally free as long as you've done this within the first 24 hours. After that, it goes up to $40. As you can see, this home right here is one that we did, and you can see the kind of the cost that they're estimated. Contractor, handyman, HVAC contractor, general property management, property maintenance, and then this is a little bit more details in that. And you can check and choose and select what are these costs that you want to share with the buyer. All right, so it's just a really cool thing that we've been offering for the last 6 months, and it's I've gotten pretty good feedback on it. You see, this is the total here with $6,635. Okay, so you can choose out the things that you think are going to need to be addressed and leave out the others. All right, so home inspectors, let's start off with this. We're going to go over kind of what the home inspectors are required to do. So it is something that goes through DBPR, and we do need to be licensed. What does it take? It's going to be 120 hours of class and then a test. There's obviously a lot more studying that needs to be done in between, but that's really it. So you can see once they pass the examination, fingerprint test, do the 120 hours. It's going to be all about the components and within the home inspection that we would do normally, and then you can have a license. So if you see somebody that's in the the very high license number, you'd be looking at this is what they have done in order for them to complete their testing requirements. So how many home inspections must be completed to sit for that license test? I guess you guys can all guess now. It's 0. Okay. So, you may have somebody that could be very low in their pricing, and this could be the reason why. So you don't want them practicing on you. You want to make sure that you have a professional that has experience, that's done many inspections. And then just also to keep in mind too, I mean, you may have somebody that's an individual that's doing it as a part-time. Their focus may be on insurance inspections, not home inspections. So you need to keep that in mind as well. And if they're working on their own, we know there's a lot of inspectors out there, so it takes some time for you to build up some experience. So you definitely want to have somebody that's worked underneath tutelage of a larger company that's given them the opportunity to do 300 to 400 inspections a year over their time that they've had their license. So, all right. So these are what we're going to go through. I'm going to this is our table of contents. I'm going to ask for you to go ahead and pull out your phone and take some pictures of some of the items that I have. It's going to be pretty useful for you to use when you're researching properties for your buyer to go look at. It's also interesting. It could be used for your listings as well. So these are the items that we're gonna go through. As you can see, there's a lot here to cover, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. All right. So for the roof, we're going to go over that. We have fiberglass shingle. To the left, you can see the let's see, hold on one sec. Okay, on the left are 3-tap shingles. Life expectancy is 12 to 15 years. And architectural shingles are on your right. Their life expectancy in the state of Florida is 18 to 22. Even if somebody installs this roof covering, the architectural may have a 25 to 30-year warranty on it. We don't ever really hit that in the state of Florida because of the high heat and then also wind and hail. All right. And at this point in time, I don't know if anybody's would bother to do 3-tap shingles any longer. The cost, which we'll show at the end, is prohibitive. You're only saving $3,000 to $4,000 for, what ends up being in comparison to architectural shingles. You're going to have like 7 to 8 years less of life. Okay. Concrete flat tiles and concrete barrel tiles. Life expectancy to these are 40 to 75 years. And thing to keep in mind always as well, it's not the tiles that end up really breaking down and causing an issue. It's the underlayment that breaks down. The underlayment will break down and will leak. That's usually an issue that ends up needing to be resolved well before the 75 years are hit. So you'll see some patchwork or some different colored tiles or different shaped tiles, etc., through the home. Tar and gravel built up. This is obviously for more commercial buildings. Life expectancy for these is 20 to 30 years. And then we have a rolled comp membrane. Life expectancy is 8 to 15 years. Both of these would be more in commercial properties. Solar shingles, quite honestly, I've not inspected a home with these as of yet, but they are out there, probably more so in your blue states of California. And then also your metal roof, which we see much more down here. And that's 40 to 70 years for those. And that's going to be dependent upon the way the building is, the roof is sloped and structured. So this is where I'm telling you to go ahead and take a picture. This will give you an idea. You can have this, save it, take a screenshot, save it in some of your important files or your important texts, and then you can pull this up at any time. When you can see that basically the same thing, we have the lifespan here in the middle, and then we also have the replacement cost. It's a pretty good window, and actually this has gone up Costs have increased 20 to 40% over the last 4 to 5 years, just like everything else. Tile and metal ranges vary widely based on the size, the pitch, and the complexity of the structure. Insurance carriers in Florida are stricter now. Asphalt roofs are often flagged at 12 to 15 years. You know, you're going to want a home that's going to have at least 5 years on it for it to be accepted by the insurance company, 5 years left. But they're even looking at things a little bit more in depth between under 10 years. So, and just to let everybody know, effective today, Florida now has a different requirement or more stringent requirements for your wind mitigation reports. So there's a new report that needs to be used for the wind mitigation. And, you know, definitely want to make sure that if you have any inspections going out this week or next week, or if you don't have anything at all for another month or something, even then you want to make sure that the inspector that you're using is using that new form. You don't want to have a hiccup there at the end when you least expect it. Especially you don't want them to have to go back out. So it's really kind of the same process, the same photos, the same items. We're going to go over that here shortly. But it's a little bit more stringent, and they're going to be strict. They're basically not allowing any kind of leeway of guesswork from the home inspector at all. They want everything to be documented. So SWR, secondary water resistance, they're going to want to see a documentation for that, or at least some kind of picture. And if it's if you're aware of it, your secondary water resistance goes in between your decking and your roof covering, and it's very difficult to see. You actually have to have a little bit of a gap somewhere in the decking to where you can see that, and you can stick a ruler in there and see, make sure that it's pliable, that it's actually sticky. Okay. So wind mitigation inspection, I'm sure many of you have plenty of these because you need them pretty much all the time. It's going to be based on, the discounts are going to be on the roof age, not the condition. That's why they are going to require a roof permit date. The length of the nails, they want to have 8D nails. When the inspector's in the attic, they're going to be looking for what they call a shiner, which is a nail that missed where it was supposed to hit. And they're looking for a measurement of that to be 2 inches beyond the decking. All right, spacing of the nails at the edge and the field of decking, those are going to need to be measured. Those have to be measured out now, at least 4 in the new wind mitigation requirements, and they need to be 6 inches apart or less. Okay. Obviously, one of the biggest discounts for the wind mitigation report are the type of roof to wall connections. You can have, the older homes would have a toenail, newer homes could have clips, and then now they'll use a single strap or double strap. And there's certain requirements for those as well. They're going to have 2 nails on one side of the strap and 1 nail on the other side of the strap. The roof geometry, if you can look in the bottom left-hand corner, we have these 2 different roof geometries that are usually used for residential homes. In Florida, on the left, you can see it's kind of a wind resistant. It's what you call a hip roof, and it's aerodynamic wind resistant, so that way it doesn't have a lot of areas that the roof can take wind. And to the right is kind of your normal non-hip, which is what you call a gable roof. And issues with these during storms are the soffit areas. The wind can come and start giving uplift on these areas there on the sides, and then up underneath it as well because of the overhang. And that's what lifts the roof off and makes it an issue. Okay. Opening protection, don't see this on a lot of the homes that we do in our area, necessarily in the greater Orlando area, but when you go out to the coastlines, out towards Tampa or out towards Daytona and up and down on both the east and west side, they are looking for opening protection, or many residential homes will have opening protection, which means that it is wind rated for a certain amount of missile impact, and that'll be an etching that'll be found on the windows itself, or there could be shutters that go over the windows and blocks the wind from going in that way. Also, you want to make sure there's no glass in your front doors and or your garage doors as well, in order for you to get that protection. This again is going to be more stringent through the new process, effective today. They're going to need to have labels taken on the garage doors, and then actually backup paperwork as well. So just anticipate, if the inspector doesn't get it correct the first time, they need to go back out. And they're really being stringent upon the quality of the pictures. I've never had an issue with any of my guys or my team or anywhere that I've worked before with quality of pictures. But if somebody who's not really experienced may end up needing to go back out to grab a picture, and there's nothing worse than that on a sale for the home inspector to have to go back, maybe even after the inspection period is over, to go take additional pictures. So homes built after March of 2002 typically receive multiple premium discounts. That's when some of the codes have changed. When a lot of the insurance companies were going to be leaving Florida, they came upon an agreement to use this wind mitigation report to allow for a variation of pricing for residential insured. Homes older than 1965 typically will not receive the roof to wall attachment. That means that it's not really secured with a clip or straps, and we call that, actually gets downgraded to what we call a toenail, which would represent actually just having 3 nails on the side of the truss into the wall, which was just the way that they did it back in those days. Homes between 65 and 2001 have about an 80% chance of receiving some sort of a premium discount. Average savings to expect are somewhere between $500 to $1,000, and it's in each of the 5 years that the report is good for. So the wind mitigation report is good for 5 years. Your 4-point is normally good for 1 year. Any wind mitigation reports provided to you, if anybody has a sale that's probably going on right now, if it was prior to today, that will be accepted. But anything from today moving forward will have to be on the new report. So please keep your notes. If you have any inspections going on, make sure that inspector is aware. Okay. Something we do not charge for our wind mids and 4-points at the initial purchase of the home inspection, unless you're doing the pay at closing. We won't charge for it, just in case that there's something that's a big red flag and they don't move, the buyer doesn't move forward with the purchase. And another advantage is if there's anything that needs to be corrected, as it's going to be the responsibility of the seller, we'll go back out and revise that report, or we can take photos from a licensed professional with an invoice, and we can update the report ourselves. But I did a second inspection for somebody the other day, and they are very appreciative. We gave them a very good discount for the second inspection, and they also saved the money of the 4-point wind mitt on that first inspection. So overall, it was like a $400 savings for that buyer. Okay, so now we're going to go over the HVAC heat pumps. You can see on the top is a split system. It has indoor and outdoor components. You've seen probably many of the evaporator coils inside the garage, and then the heat pumps on the exterior of the house. And then here on the bottom is what we call packaged heat system. You'll find these in commercial buildings on the outside, as well as a lot of manufactured homes will have portions of it in the exterior, and then another portion of it just underneath the crawl space. Okay. All right, so for the split system, 10-15 years is the average life. You may want to get a picture of this. This is really good information. You can use it when you're looking, before you even settling on the home that you're going to be showing to the buyer. 10-15 years is the average life for the heat pumps. New units do not last as long as they did back in the day. You probably heard of the train. Nothing stops a train. Some of the train systems can last up to 20-25 years. Replacement for these are around $6,000 and up, depending on the size of the home and then the quality of the unit. Heat pumps installed prior to 2009 require a coolant pipeline to be replaced due to the new coolant requirement. And this is probably more important back 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now, prior to 2009, we're looking at what, 29, 9, 19. 10, 16, 17 years. So we're getting to that point where these systems are already kind of going by the wayside and being replaced. So maybe not be so important at this time. Minor issues and repairs begin at the 8 to 10 year mark. When we're looking at a unit, we're usually giving it a 10 to 12 year lifespan, anticipating 10 to 12, and then 15, anything beyond 15 years would be considered to be good fortune that it's still operating. Typical replacement. So some of the things that these are minor issues. So the capacitor replacement is like $250. These usually see if there's an issue with an HVAC system, it's usually around the month of August when the heat is the highest. Also, the evaporator coil inside this evaporator coiling unit here can be swapped out for anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000, and that's pretty good. You know, if it's something that's maybe has a outdoor unit that is still in great shape. You can change just the coil on the inside. And then typical replacement of the condenser unit ranges from $2,500 to $5,000, depending on the system size and efficiency. And then completely new systems range from $8,000 to $12,000. So you can get by with just some, you know, piecemeals going on. But once you start getting to where you're replacing both units at $8,000, you're probably better off to start considering going up to the brand new, and the brand new additional costs are going to be for the thermostat, new electrical that's going to be hooked in, the air handler, and then any kind of new codes that have changed over the last 15 years. All right, so now we're going to go into plumbing, and we're going to go over some of the, pretty much all the plumbing for supply lines, and then we'll go over drain lines as well. Many of you have probably heard of the polybutylene, which used quite a bit in 1978 until 1995. Some of it did hang over past 95, 96, 97. You could have a home that has the polybutylene in it. Most of these have been changed, but individuals who've owned a property prior to and are just selling it now may not be aware that the home has it, still get 2 or 3 of these, 4 of these a year unexpectedly. A good way for you to look as a realtor when you're going in through the home and you're looking at the hot water heater, if you see any kind of piping this color right here, this gray, there's a very good possibility that it's polybutylene and it's going to need to be replaced. Okay. The issue is usually these copper connections that you can see. This is a little bit overzealous, showing a lot of the connectors, but because these are made out of copper and the piping itself is made out of plastic, there's a chemical reaction with those, and it can cause pinholes where the copper meets the plastic, and then that causes little pinhole leaks, and it can go unnoticed for a very, very long time. So even if it does get replaced, you know, there could be some kind of issues in that wall. Us as inspector, when we see the polybutylene, we look to see where it's being supplied to, and we look for any kind of damage, any kind of moisture, any kind of issues before we leave that inspection. So, and you're not going to know it if the seller's replacing these. They're going to take the wall down and they're going to change that drywall, but what's behind that drywall inside the framing could be ugly. Full replacement runs anywhere from $4,500 to $10,000, which includes replacing, repairing the drywall. And insurances will not insure a home that is found with polybutylene pipes. Okay. So that'll need to be taken care of by the seller for sure. If you went back probably 5 years ago, some insurance companies would insure it on the promise that it was going to be taken care of once the buyers moved in. That's not the case any longer. And same thing with electrical panels. There's really no leniency with the insurance companies these days. All right, CPVC, it's high temperature plastic, invented for both potable, cold, and hot water in 1959 by Geneva Products in Michigan. It's really been used extensively in fire sprinkler systems since 1985. It's also used for many industrial and process piping applications. It can, over time, become brittle and susceptible to cracking over time. Okay. Life expectancy for this is around 50 years. All right, we'll have a chart at the end to where you can take a photo of all those life expectancies. Copper pipes, commonly used in construction industry for supply lines and refrigerant lines, can be manufactured as a soft or rigid copper. Offers excellent corrosion resistance and reliable connections. Life expectancy for these is 40 to 60 years. Eventually, they can get little pinholes in these as well. So it's something to keep in mind. The inspector is usually going to give somewhere like 40 to 50. Well, they're anything past 1980 may be a concern. So, but a lot of times by that point, many of those homes have been repiped. In the U.S., PEX has been used for radiant flooring earlier, and in the 1980s, they started using it for potable water, and then became very prevalent in mid to the late 1990s. Life expectancy for the PEX is 40 to 50 years. All right, so galvanized steel plumbing pipes. These are made of steel. They're coated with a zinc. They actually go through like a bath. They form it, they dip it, they coat it with zinc to kind of help it prevent rusting, which is good for the exterior of it. But as our next photo will show, on the interior of it could be some issues. Life expectancy for these is 30 to 60 years, and these were commonly used in homes prior to 1950. It's probably used until the late 1960s. Over time, the galvanized pipes can begin to rust and corrode on the inside, as you can see on the right-hand side. This one was a situation where you had two different metals combined to each other in a chemical reaction. You had a copper line with a galvanized pipe, and you can see the corrosion that developed on the inside. It's not something that may be very visible because of that zinc on the exterior of it, but it could affect the water flow. If you see varying water flows in different pipes or different areas of the home, it's something to consider and to think about. Eventually, it could cause a rupture. It could cause issue with flooding. All right, so this is your cast iron. This is actually going to be used for a lot of drain lines. These have been a staple in plumbing systems actually since the late 18th century, and it's endured for decades due to the durability and longevity. However, there are concerns about the corrosion, rust, and potential for structural failures have led to the shift away from it to alternative materials. And how we find that, so for any home that we see that's built in 1978 or earlier, we're going to recommend that a sewer scope inspection is provided. It's a tool with a camera on the end, and it's put into the drain lines going to the road, checking the sewer line, and then also the drain lines underneath the home. All right, so there could be issues in either location. Here are some examples of those. On the top left, on the top right here, you can see this is actually a new construction home. We did 1,500 sewer scopes for a company out of the greater Orlando area last year, and 35% of the new construction homes had an issue in their sewer drains. All right, it's not just that builder, it's other builders as well. Issues are piping gets placed down. It looks great when the plumber leaves. However, they cover it with soil, and then they come to put the sod on later on, and then they'll crush the pipe. And it may not be a problem because you've got the soil going on, but the soil eventually is going to leak down. And even if it doesn't, if it's just a cracking, roots from bushes, trees, or grass can grow in, and you basically have a great provider of fertilizer here for those roots to continue to grow. And we'll see a picture of that as well. This is a blockage or an obstruction that we've seen 2 weeks ago. We had a golf ball we've seen in one of the sewer drains of a new construction. Okay. We've also seen dish rags. We've also seen other things as well. I've seen joint compound that was used for drywall poured down the sink and got down as far as the drain. We've seen balls of tape in the drain. I've seen a beer bottle upside down in a clean out. Okay, so new construction. Let's I know you're trying to save your buyers some money, but this is something that is really important. I know you have a 1-year warranty on the new construction. These issues may not show themselves without the proper inspection of the lines with the camera for 3 to 4 or 5 years down the line. Okay. The holes or the cracks in the piping allow the roots to grow in. It's going to take some time for those to get down there, get to that length. All right. And then what's going to end up happening, the buyer's not going to know anything until that starts leaking into the home. And now they have a much bigger problem. There's a bit of a discount on your new construction, right? So when you take it in comparison to your pre-existing homes, they're not going to usually end up needing the wind mitigation, and they may not even need the 4-point. And then we don't usually do a termite inspection on new construction either. So for the cost, there's still going to be a lesser cost for the sewer scope in the home inspection and the new construction than it would be for any other home. So I definitely follow through, try to get those as often as possible. I have 2 or 3 agencies I do business with. They make sure that they recommend it to every one of their buyers, and we'll actually run it. If the home is on septic, we'll take it. If there's a clean out available by the septic, we'll still put the sewer scope up underneath the house and check those drain lines coming from the bathrooms, the kitchen, and the washer and dryer, and the laundry room. Up on top, this is an example of root intrusion. This is roots that are growing in. On the right, on the bottom, this is an older home. This is with the either galvanized or the cast iron. You can see it's got some rust going on. This one's actually not that bad. It's still not going to affect the flow. I've seen them much worse than this. And it's not a deal breaker. What needs to be done is, is that it can be descaled. So they can run a pipe going down and run a rooter blade, and it will chip away at this galvanized piping. It may end up, it could cause a problem with it. It could cause a break or something in the line, but it's just a repair at that point and not a replacement of the lines altogether. Cost for this could be anywhere, if you're going from the main house out to the road, it could be anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, and underneath the house could be even more expensive. New construction home in Sorrento last year was purchased. Sewer scope was not provided. They thought that the toilets just weren't getting enough water going through the drains, but actually the piping wasn't connected correctly, and there was a lip, so it was causing a problem. It ended up having to have the tile floor taken up, and the cement had to be broken in order to get to that pipes and do those repairs. All right, so, and that was a $900,000 house. Now, this is what I said you can take a picture of. This is going to be the lifespan, anticipated lifespans for all the different piping that we went through. I saw somebody was asking to how they can determine polybutylene. You're basically going to be looking for those copper connections. It's going to be a gray pipe. And it's usually a different color than your PEX, but there is writing on there. If you go up closer to it, you can see writing on it that would help you determine it. And then if you ever have any questions, take a picture of it, get the writing on it, shoot it to me in a text, or send it to the business email, and we'll evaluate it and let you know right away. Okay, this is typical cracking. Soil in Florida is very, very soft. So we're going to see on this picture on the left, that's what we call step cracking. Kind of goes down the joint and along the bottom. It can actually even go around from one side of the house to around the corner. On the right, it's a little bit of a different. It's a vertical crack, and you can see the depth of it. The thickness of it is very thick. This is definitely an issue. As a home inspector, every time we're going to recommend both of these have an evaluation by a licensed professional engineer, a structural engineer. If we see something that's 1/8 of an inch thick or less, the thickness of a nickel, recommendation then is going to have it, it's going to go ahead and repair it with unsanded grout. Anything over than that 1/8 of an inch, that's where we got that point where we ask for a professional engineer to evaluate. And other things may come into consideration. One may be the age of the home. If we see something that may be just right at the 1/8 inch mark and the home is 50, 60, 70 years old, then it may be something that's not as important, and it may not be something that we recommend that it gets reviewed by a structural engineer. But if it's 15, 20 years old, then we're definitely going to give that recommendation. That fee is usually around $600 to $700 minimum for about 40 minutes worth of work and a report. All right, so electrical panels, several different electrical panels. Pool is probably up online if you want to take pictures as we go through these as well. You can. And then to this picture right here, we see the Federal Pacific Electric. It's also was named the Stab Lock. These were required to be replaced by the insurance companies due to the breaker failure. They were used in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Cost for repairs of these can range anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500, depending on whether the both branch circuits or the main panel need to be replaced. At this point, you're better off just to change out the whole system. Zinsko Sylvania, you can recognize these right here by the color of the breakers. It's another important one as well. These are installed in homes throughout the 70s. This also is going to need to be replaced. You will not be able to find insurance for it. Challenger is a defective breaker, typically required to be replaced by most insurance companies. It's installed in homes throughout the 1980s and in the 90s. You can see in this picture right here that it overheated and it didn't kick off when it should have. All right, so it is a fire issue. All right, single strand of aluminum wire used in 1965 to 1973. Sometimes it was substituted for copper branch circuit wiring. Insurance carriers required the rewiring of the home, or for them to be fixed, they need to have these aluminacons placed on it, either in the electrical panel or at the outlets. And this is usually, it's going to be something that's going to be connected to your light switches and your outlets. And initially it was established, it was causing some issues. The aluminum wiring is very soft and it loosens up over time. And then it doesn't allow the connection to be as good as it could be. And it can cause a fire. These aluminacons take that single strand and hooks it up to another wire. So that eliminates that issue. And this will pass your insurance. Okay. Pool inspection, as you can see at the list on the left, these are all things that we inspect during our pool inspection. So it's a pretty large list. Does cover a lot. I know we have what we call kind of like a punch list or a list to follow to check all these, but it is very important. Definitely is worth the value. Pool bond or some refinishing could be upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 on a pool, and then the equipment itself could have some issues. So you definitely recommend having that done. This is something that we've been doing the last 2 or 3 years. We will check the pressure of the supply drains as well as the skimmer. We can't check the main drain in it, but we can check those other 3 lines. It's a diagnostic procedure, and will definitely let us know if there's in those lines, if there's any leaks, blockage, or other issues. We pressurize the system and monitor the pressure levels, and it identifies potential leaks. Okay, so this is pretty large, so we'll go through it as quickly as possible. Those of you, I've already done a WDO class here in the past, so you may remember this, but this is basically kind of shows you the differences between termites and ants. You know, we always recommend that you have a licensed professional pest control company to come out and look, but some ways of determining it yourself would be a thin abdomen for the ant, a straight abdomen for a termite. The wings on the termites are all the same size on both sides. The wings on the ants are unequal in length on both sides. Also, you have, if you can get to see the live ones, you can see the straight antenna and then a bent antenna. That's the difference between a termite and an ant. The picture to the right are what we call, these are mud tubes. This is pretty extensive. This is for a property that was done in Winter Park probably about 7 years ago. And you can see the tubes from the termites dragging down. And this is really what they either call it a mud tube or a shelter tube, and it's what allows the termites to travel back and forth to the water to continue to do their damage or to continue to eat. These can be built by a subterranean termite about 1.2 inches in about 60 minutes. Okay. Treatments involve liquid treatments, creating a barrier that prevents termites from entering. There's also, you can have like the Massey provided Centricon bait stations. You just want to make sure that there's active ingredient in all those bait stations. This is cartoning. This could be behind the wall. This is from Formosan termites, which came from Asia back in the early 1900s, and they came over on ships. So you can see quite a bit of damage, and these can go quite a bit. They hold a lot of water in here, so the termites don't have to go down to the ground as often to pick up the water to continue to survive. We call this cartoning, and this is for Formosan termites. Drywood termites, now these are not taken care of by the subterranean preventative treatments, so the bait stations do not work on drywood termites. The treatment on the outside does not work either. There's 3 ways to treat drywood termites, and you're going to need a responsible inspector to be able to tell you what those are. One is if it's in a small location and you're pretty sure that it's pretty new and it's not gone to other locations, you can remove the wood that it's in. Okay. If you see if the inspector sees frass on the outside framing, but they don't see any frass on the attic area or crawl space area, then maybe just removing the framing would suffice. Okay. If there's termite frass in several locations in the attic, then they're going to want to start off. If there's just a few areas in a location, there is a foam that can be applied to that wood area. It gets injected into it, and it will kill the drywood termites. Last option is going to be a fumigation of the home, and that's going to require 3 days of tenting. 1 day to put the tent up, 1 day to gas, another day to take the tent down. All right. You definitely do not want your buyers to be dealing with this 3 months down the road after they've moved into the house, because everything that involves eating has to be either washed or bagged up before the process, and they need to move out of the home for 3 days. Okay. Telltale sign for drywood termites is they're a little bit different. Where we saw the mud tubes, shelter tubes, that was from the subterranean termites. This is drywood termites. They take the wood, they eat it, and then it comes out on the other side like a petrified wood. If you were to take, almost looks like coffee grains. If you were to take your thumb and nail and push onto it, it would actually shoot out. So it's solid petrified wood. Okay, drinking water tests, we provide these. Many of the VA is going to require this for anybody who has well water, and some FHA loans will require this as well. You want to make sure that you have somebody that knows what they're doing. Some secrets, or not some secrets, but some things that can give you a contaminated test that isn't really deserved would be somebody not wearing gloves when they're doing the testing and are actually touching the water. Another one is not letting the water run long enough before they actually test it. Another one is also going to be cleaning the spout itself where the water is coming from, making sure, because that spout could be holding residue or contamination from a long time before. There's 2 different tests. One is going to be the contaminants and the bacteria. The second test would be for metals, including lead, iron, and manganese. The results of this, if you do the first test only, it'll come back in 24 hours. If you do the second test, if you do the bacteria and everything all together, we call it the VA FHA Plus test, then that will take 48 hours to come back. Cost for this is from the lab is $175 to $200. So the inspector should be along that price line of $425 for a standalone. But if there's a lot of inspections that are put together, then it should be part of a package deal down to like $375 or $350. Mold, well, we all know the mold, of 4-letter word. Not everything is an issue. It needs to be checked out by the right individual and determined. There's several ways. I am a licensed mold assessor. means that I've had to perform an X amount of tests, and also worked for a period of years, and then pass a 4-day class to get. Different ways of testing are going to be air monitoring cassettes, which you can see down here in the bottom, aerosol. This will show what's in the air. It's not as stringent as testing on these actual locations that you can see it. There's also what we call swab, and then tape. Now you're going to need somebody that knows what they're doing, because a home inspector could come in and they could do an air cassette and not do a swab, and then the determination is that there's an issue, that there's spores flying around in the air. Well, those spores could be very old. They could be from something that's not producing spores any longer. So we call that non-viable. The only viable way to do it is with the swab. You need to find a location, you need to swab it, and it needs to go into an incubation for 8 to 14 days. All right, to see whether or not whatever's in there is actually something that is live, that is still continuing to grow. All right, everything else is going to be null and void. It's not going to be concerning. Lead homes before 1978, lead-based paint. I think you guys all have the lead addendums by now. What we usually recommend for a home buyer is, we're anticipating that there's going to be lead someplace or another. To test every location would mean somewhere around $100, $85 to $100 after your initial exam of every wall in the house with different paint, right? So it's kind of exorbitant, and really not, definitely not cost effective, right? So what we recommend is that ask them first whether or not they're going to be removing any walls, replacing, doing any kind of renovations, changes, etc., because that's your biggest concern. As long as everything is completely covered, it doesn't have any kind of chips coming out, then it's going to be okay until you get to the point where you're removing it, you're pulling it apart, you're cracking it, or if you're running a saw across it and you're creating dust. All right. So we do go over all that with the buyer when they call, make sure that they understand it. Okay. Asbestos, similar thing. You're usually going to see it. It was pretty thorough in the 1970s. Popularity peaked during the mid 20th century because it was affordable, the versatility, and then it was heat resistance. By the 1970s, it was aware that it was growing. It was health risks, leading to regulations and restrictions on its use. It is still being used today, but it's a very, very, very small percentage. Despite its ban in new construction in the late 80s, many older homes and buildings still have that asbestos-containing material. Supra, I'm sure you guys are aware of this. We do have Supra. We do offer this. So if we need to get started on a inspection in advance, an hour or something, for you to go ahead and take care of another showing before you come, we do have access to Supra and Century. We can do that. I'm not going to go through these, but these are just the 3 different phases that we can do for new construction. You have a pre-slab inspection, and that's basically checking everything before the initial slab goes down. We'll be checking for termite treatment then at that point. Be looking at the beams and the reinforcements that's being used in the before the foundation is poured. Pre-drywall, now the slab is down, but now we can see things that you're not going to be able to see once the drywall comes up. We'll provide this inspection at a discounted rate if it's combined with the final home inspection as well. Here we want to make sure that the ductwork is connected. We've seen that. We want to make sure that the lumber being used is quality. We want to make sure that there's strike plates put in protecting the wiring, so that way once the drywall goes up, there's not nails that are hitting the electrical wiring causing an issue, and many other things, fire blocking protection, and we get to see the rough in of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. You guys have all been through this, so pretty much the same thing, just recommending that you get that sewer scope. All of our inspection reports are going to have an executive summary at the beginning of the report that's going to show the issues. Here you'll see severity levels of the concerns or issues. This is an example of a report that we've done in the, actually within the last couple of months. As we told you, the win mitt and the 4-point, we don't charge for those up front, but we will have notification in this report with a black INS severity level. That's going to be notifying you, and we'll tell you at the inspection as well. The buyer will be explaining this during the initial conversation, that those are issues that are going to be a problem with the insurance company providing insurance. So we let you know that up front in your main report, because it's going to be the first thing that you're really going to need to address with the seller. And then this is some of our, these are all the different items that we use for our inspections: the sewer scope, the infrared camera, our drone. Yeah, so that's it. So we got through it pretty quick, Ryan. I'm happy because it's usually a 100-minute class. So
yeah, I'm very happy with it too. You got to the questions that were in the chat. I know you got to the PEX question.
Saw the one. Let me go ahead and go to the chat now.
There's another PEX question, I think.
So this is yeah, so the old PEX and new PEX is something that gets called out, usually explained, and it's looked at and evaluated. I don't know if it's necessarily 20 years, but they do recommend some of the, it's the insurance companies, right? So it's the underwriter. So you have some insurance companies that will accept it, and then there's other insurance companies that won't. So what does that mean? It means that possibly that your rates could be higher. We don't look at 20 years. We look at something like 25 or 30 years.
Okay, fantastic. You guys see Jim's stuff there on the screen, his contact information. I will tell you, Jim did an inspection for, I know at least one for Carissa. She did on a building she was buying, and he did a great job. She couldn't say enough good things about him. So
thank you. We did that, and then we also did a Dollar General in Tampa for you guys as well.
Okay. Yeah, and I know you've done some residential stuff for us as well. So
yeah,
I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome.
Anything else you want to impart on us before you go? And if you guys have any questions for Jim, that'd be a great time to ask. All right, Jim, anything else you want to tell us before you go?
No, just keep in mind what I explained earlier about the wind mitigation. Make sure that your inspector, if you have an inspection today, next week, next month, until you get to that inspector that you're using, make sure that they're using the correct wind mitigation form. I may not be doing the inspection for you, but I don't want you to run into an issue with it. And same thing with anything else. If you ever have questions or concerns or something, and you want somebody else, a second opinion, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always available to everybody. Our inspections don't end at the day that we give the report. We're available to the client. We explain this to the client ongoing. We're not hiding from anything. We're available to help them, especially when it comes to termite protection. We will go over, make sure that they're getting the correct protection, whether it's 1 week after the inspection or 5 years after the inspection. We always ask that they put our phone number into their phone.
Awesome.
All right,
Jim. Thank you very much for coming in. It was a great class. Really
all right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Well, thanks to Jim for coming in. Do you guys have any questions? What do you guys want to talk about? Market's going, picking up a tiny bit. Rates are up because of the war thing and back and forth and everything else. But you guys are doing pretty well. You guys are busier. We're seeing notable data that shows you guys are doing more business. So I'll fill you guys in on that after we look at the end of the month here. Tammy, what's going on with you?
Everybody needs to go on vacation because their phone will start ringing. It's unbelievable. I'm leaving next week and I've had like, I don't know, 3 random referrals, and it's just been busy. But I'll do it because I'm going on vacation.
Awesome. Do that. Everybody go on vacation. Yeah, you do. That is Murphy's Law. You sit around looking at your phone, nothing's going to happen, and you try to do something and it does. What else is going on? Carolina, what do you got going on?
A couple of rentals, a couple of listings, and working on a deal with an investor and having him pay me. and
Hmm.
the seller too. So I'm doing both sides, but I haven't heard from him. So
They'll be back around.
we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, things are okay.
Okay, awesome. You guys, who has done business? You guys know GA Direct something? They send an offer on every listing, pretty much.
That
GA
one.
Direct. They send them. Yeah, they send them, and sometimes they're of reasonable value. Whether or not they're able to close on everyone, because they send a lot of automatic offers. So that's why I was wanting to tell you about that. Carolina emailed that to me yesterday or the day before.
I did speak to a representative. They send me the proper documents for this company. I researched the title company. I researched all these companies, looked at their reviews. And so, you know, the seller, you know, they agreed to accept the offer and work with the other title company. I called a title company that I work with. She said that the seller can do contingency on their lawyers to approve the contract and the transaction. Like, I don't know, they provide a separate service to supervise this transaction.
I don't think you need that. They're just trying to sell you something. I don't think you need that. But I've done deals where the buyers choose the title company and close. So I've also done them where they choose a title company and don't really perform, and they get their deposit back somehow. So you got to be careful with that. I haven't done that, but I've seen
correct, because they use their title company. They put their deposit in their escrow, and of course it's crazy. But the question that I have, do I need to have that investment company sign a compensation agreement with me, or buy a broker agreement, or all this?
Yeah, just for this, you can do a showing for this unit. Send it to them, just a showing for only this property. A showing
agreement
for only this property. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
So here's what it is. A lot of people ask about the scam of these people who send it. A lot of times it's not a scam. It's just they want to put everything under contract. Then they want to come out and look at it. And if it's a steal, they'll close on it. If it's not a steal, they won't. They try to put as many things under contract as possible. It's highly unethical, but they're not using an agent to do it. It's just human interaction, direct. It's consumer interaction. So they're not governed by anything other than common sense and decency and ethics, so which they ignore. But they put a lot of things under contract, and then they don't close on them. They only close on the ones that are a real steal somehow. So that's how that operates. You guys know when you put a listing on, you get 2-3 offers in the next couple of days, automated. A lot of them, if you do the math on them, they're exactly 70% or 75% of asking price. They just put them out. And now with AI, they don't even have to have a person do that. They used to have people who would just do it for them all day. They would make a lot of mistakes. They would leave a different property address in it. They would do, in their contract, and they would do stuff like that. Even mistakes on the price. You guys have sent me stuff where they offer $150,000 over asking price because whoever did the contract forgot to change the price, and the numbers didn't make sense when they did it. So it's somebody just there. A lot of times they're just putting on a contract, but they do close. We have closed deals with them. So if they feel like they got a great deal, they'll close.
I have one that I'm working on a short sale with the office short sale department. They've sent like 3 offers with the wrong address. I told them 3 times it's the wrong address. I told them that the price is too low. The title company is not approved. The deposit is too low, and they keep saying, "Oh, do you have an update on our offer?" Like, they don't even look
rejected, and like Daryl just put in there, you can block them. Okay, so here's what you have to be careful about. You are legally bound, legally because you signed the listing agreement that says that you're bound as a brokerage. We're bound to present all offers.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why I want you guys to put in your terms, if you're going to do this, if you want to delete and block these people, and I know you do because they send terrible offers. You tell them there's no way the seller will be interested in that. Seller rejects it, whatever, and they still keep, hey, got an update on that? Got an update on that? So put in your listing agreements that broker will not present offers under 80% of asking price or under, whatever that is. And then the seller is authorizing you not to do that. And it gets you off the hook with ethics, with the board, with anybody else who can punish you for not presenting all offers. And that's what people would do. They would go to the board. Oh, they didn't present my offer. So what you need to do is do that. And then you put my seller will not, I'm not allowed to show my seller offers that are under 80% of value. And that's it. And then you can block them. And if you continue asking me for updates, I'll block you. That's it. Then at that point, they're doing, because a lot of them do use an agent. They do use a local agent to present their offers. Yes, Daryl.
I put that on realtor remarks. Is that legal? Does I do that?
No, because your seller doesn't see realtor remarks. They didn't agree to.
Well,
So
I know
if you put it on your, it's absolutely legal to put it on there if it's on your listing agreement. Yes.
my sellers do agree to it, and then
as long as
either
it's in writing in your
or-
listing agreement, that's
Okay.
fine. Or if you talk to them and they say, "Don't bring me this anymore," say,
Right.
"You want me to stop bringing this to you?" They just have them put it in writing to you. That's fine. They don't have to modify the listing agreement. Just have them put it in writing to you. I don't want any more offers under
I think I
80%.
just asked for an email from them, so I have it in writing.
That's fine. Yep. And if that ever comes to a board, if somebody ever takes you to ethics for that, you just present that and they'll drop it. Seller didn't want it. Seller didn't want to look at anything under 80%. That's perfectly fine. The consumer is always right for the most part. Okay. Any other questions? But they do close occasionally, Carolina. So I hope it works for you, especially on something you can't move. I hope it works for you.
Right. But even if they do not pay me, this company, the seller agreed to pay me the 5%. I just
Wonderful.
am trying to see if they'll cover half.
Yeah, you asked me that, and I yes, that this morning, and I responded. I don't know why they would agree to that, but they might.
Well, he's working on it.
All right.
We'll see.
Well, if you asked me that, I would say, well, your seller is accepting this without me paying for it. So why would I do that? If I'm the
Oh,
buyer?
but I didn't submit the accepted offer yet.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're negotiating. That's
We
perfectly
have
fine.
we have until the 3rd to accept it. And
Okay.
so I just thought that, hey, why should the seller have to pay me for listing and selling, right? Because they added me. And I'm like, they should pay this. And so either way, whether they do accept it or not, I'll submit the accepted offer from the seller. I just thought, hope,
Okay.
because they're trying to get a steal for this house, which they are going to get a steal. So,
Yeah.
but the house does need repairs. It does need updates. So this probably would be a good deal for them to, flip or whatever it is. And the seller has agreed. I talked to him at length. I said, hey, we can keep marketing it, but it's been on the market twice in 15 months. So it's not aligned with market.
Right.
And also because it needs updates and that kind of stuff. So in a great community, Legends.
I will tell you that I would not mess with that buyer and ask it for 2.5%. I think it might make the deal not work for them. So I don't know if you're doing anybody a favor by doing that, but that's up to you.
Okay.
You and your seller.
Okay.
I wouldn't 15 months on the market. I would not risk that deal over 2.5%.
It's not risks. Yeah. Okay. It's already signed and
Okay.
we'll see.
Well, the buyer's going to go through there, see what repairs it needs. Let's say this buyer's on the up and up and he's great. He's going to go in there and see what repairs it needs. And then he's got to add another 2.5%. So it just, it could tip the numbers where the deal doesn't work for him, or does certainly not as attractive. Okay. All right. Daryl.
I hate to be a Daryl Downer, but I'm having a hard time as a listing agent. I've had 2 listing appointments in the past, month and a half or so. Both of them, I do valuations, and the valuations come in, but I can't find the comps to get those valuations where they're at. It's terrible. I just had another one yesterday. RPR came in at 458, which I use RPR all the time to evaluate. Came in at 458. I looked at the comps and I can't find anything that is sold actually in the past 9 months or so. to get that value. And I hate having that. And I told my sellers, I said, I hate having this conversation. I just had the same conversation with another seller last month. I can't get your house to value at that price that I'm showing you here on paper. I mean, it was coming in at like 430. And he goes, dang, we bought it for like 380 and we put in 40,000. I said, I know. I said, I wish I could tell you. I'm not going to lie to you. And, you know, he appreciated that I wouldn't lie to. I said, other agents would, I won't. You know, I'm very truthful, and I don't want a listing that's going to sit on the market for freaking 9 months and not be able to sell it. So I'm having a hard time here in this neighborhood, just getting the values in, because nothing's, very, very few is selling. That's what the problem is. There's no comps.
Right. It is. And that creates a stagnant market, which does not help prices. One thing I'll tell you guys, when you're doing your CMAs and stuff, and this has come up a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, go further out more than go back in time. Go a little farther out to find a similar property than going back farther in time. Just when you do your quarter mile and your 6 months or whatever, if something still doesn't, you still can't find comps, or you only have one comp or something like that, go out farther geographically before you go back farther in time. That's all. What I want to tell you. Although in this market it's so stagnant that a year ago prices are about the same as they are now. It was stagnant a year ago, but they'd rather, that's what an appraiser is going to go out farther in distance than they are before they go back farther in time. But find similar properties, but farther back in distance. So the RPR pulls comps, right? Did you do a CMA through the MLS?
I showed them the RPR, actually. I printed out the first page of the RPR to show them. I said,
but the RPR has comps.
But you could click on that button and it'll show you all the comps that they pulled from.
Yeah, but I didn't, even with the comps that RPR brought up, it didn't coincide with what was selling there in that neighborhood.
Okay.
It's a specialized neighborhood. And I know the models exactly, and there's like 2 or 3 other models exactly like that's been on the market on the same street for like I said, 6 to 9 months. And I showed him, I said, look at this.
Well, there's your comps. So that's your comps.
Yeah.
So one thing that we do, we get in a box too much looking for sold comps, right?
Right.
I think we get too much in that. I think there's so much more of, what if you were selling anything else? We get in this realtor box, right, in our minds. What if you were selling anything else? If I were selling my 1989 Camaro, made up, but I got a 1989 Camaro, I'm selling out by the street, right? And I see, you know, this is crazy, but within 4 blocks of here, there's 3 other 1989 Camaros out there, and they're all priced at $8,000 and they won't sell. And I think mine's worth $9,000. I mean, because I spent this much on it and I put this much into it, which means nothing to nobody, right, except for me. But there's 3 other ones out there, and I can look at the Kelly Blue Book and it can say it's worth 10,000, but these other 3 for 8,000 aren't selling, right? And they're in similar condition. You know, one's got a little nicer this, or a little nicer that, or a little worse this. You know, I can do the comps in my mind based on a 1989 Camaro, what's good and not. That one's got seat covers, so you know, whatever. But was it hubcaps? Whatever it is, right? Some of them have different things, but all that matters is what's out there, what a buyer can look at. That's what really matters when you're selling anything, right? You can sell whatever you're selling. I don't care if I'm selling hot dogs. If Tammy's got a hot dog stand down the street and she's not selling hers for $4, I can't start selling mine for $5, right? Because she's not busy down there for $4. So it doesn't matter what the National Hot Dog Institute says I should be selling hot dogs for. You know what I mean? Or whatever. There's no comps. Doesn't matter. What matters is what's available and what a buyer can look at and what a buyer can buy. And the fact is, my Camaro is going to be the 4th one to sell if I price it higher than the other 3. So, assuming all things fairly equal. So it doesn't. We get too much in that. When I want you to use CMAs and use comps and use all that stuff like we're supposed to, basics. But also, the most important thing is not just solds and pending. What's important, pending, you can't tell what they're pending for anyway. But most important is what's available right now. What is real world? What is a buyer going to buy when they come in this neighborhood? They're not going to buy mine if I'm the 4th cheapest one, right? They're not going to buy mine first, assuming all of the things pretty equal. So it matters a lot what's selling in there, Daryl, and that backs you up a lot. Like, don't let this other realtor, don't let Tammy come in behind me on your next listing appointment and tell you your house worth that 450 or whatever. When I'm showing you right now, there's 3 down the street, same model for 395, and they're not selling.
And that's exactly what I told him, and he totally agreed. He was smart. He totally agreed. He goes, "You're exactly right." He goes, "I appreciate your truthfulness."
Right. So you created trust, and you also cut Tammy off at the knees because she's going to come in and tell him, "Oh, we'll place it for 450, and we'll drop it next week to 430," and you know what I mean. So you're cutting her off at the knee. The guy knows it's worth 395, you know, and so he knows it's just going to sit on the market, sell the market. So the next thing you do is you remind him. He probably knows, seems pretty savvy. Probably knows that sitting on the market is, you know, just like you ask him, if this Camaro's been sitting out here by the road for a year, what do you think is, what do you think of that Camaro? You think it's in great shape? Probably not, right? So they probably keep taking it to their mechanic. The mechanic says, don't buy this thing, right? So it's the same thing for a house. It sits on the market. People think the same thing. They think it's, why has it been on the market for 100? You guys have had buyers before. Oh, it's been on the market for 180 days. Why do you think that is? You know, just like anything else, if nobody else wants it, I don't want it either. So you want to price it low and get some excitement going, at least get some offers going. But you know, nobody wants to hear that. It's still not good news. But at least you're telling them the dangers of putting it on the market too high. You're telling them the dangers of working with Tammy because she's a liar. You're telling them anybody, whoever comes in next is going to lie to you just to get the listing and get some kind of, and hope they luck into something. And honestly, we've all done that, haven't we? We've all taken a listing too high, hoping we luck into something. So it's not an indictment of Tammy. It's just, or whoever's playing Tammy's character, but it is the real world and this business. But Daryl, you're showing them that, look, I'm professional enough, and I do enough business. I'm successful enough. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. I'm not going to come out here and look like an idiot by pricing your house too much. And I'm not going to put you through that of pricing your house for too much. Good news is you won't have to move a lot for showings. You're just going to be sitting there with no showings. So you won't be inconvenienced because nobody's going to look at it because it's priced too high. But what I'd like to do is price it a little bit lower, get you a bunch of showings. It's going to be a pain in the butt for a little bit, but we're going to get you out of here and, you know, as soon as possible, get this house sold for you. Right? We'll have a bunch of showings in a short time to get the house sold for you. You know, change it into emotions for them. Get you guys, what does this all mean to you? It means you're going to be, I know you move up, you know, to Daytona Beach to be close to your kids. This is going to get you there, you know, hopefully in 3 or 4 months instead of 10 or 12 months. You know, so get you up there by Christmas or whatever it is that you want to get them, some kind of emotion that they want to feel when they get done with that, and not have to worry about dealing with Tammy, where they're going to take a whole year to sell their house because they're going to have to keep lowering their price, make a bunch of concessions. So that's all I have to say about that. But good luck. And you're taking the right angle. You're taking the high road, and you're taking the, I'm the expert, I'm the super honest guy. That's who they want to work with. People they trust, people they like. All right. Not Tammy.
Where are you going for your vacation, Tammy?
Good question. I was going to ask that. Thanks.
A Viking River cruise to Amsterdam, the tulips and windmills. Yay!
I'm doing a princess one in July.
This is the river. Are you doing a river?
That's only a Tammy type of cruise. Okay, because Tammy's making like millions. That's nice though. Those cruises are nice.
She's lying to these sellers, getting these listings.
That's awesome. Well, let me know how it goes. Maybe I someday can go.
Yeah, you could go. Save all your little cruises up to the one big cruise.
That's what I'm doing, Tammy.
Is that Amsterdam you said you're going?
Yeah, we go into Amsterdam, and then we're doing like Belgium and the little river circle thing. So yeah.
And it gets from your like leaving Europe, not from here, correct?
No, I'm leaving Orlando, and we fly to Edinburgh, I think, and then we fly from Edinburgh to
nice.
Amsterdam.
That should be really, really nice.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Oh, thank you.
Well deserved. All right, guys. Any more questions? Awesome. Not for Tammy, for me. I'll leave Tammy. I'll leave you guys on here with me, and I'll go. You guys can talk all about that. That is awesome, Tammy. Congratulations. It is well deserved. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We'll have something great for you again next week. Hopefully, you got something out of Jim today, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.